Hello, and welcome to the 6th episode of Analyzing Fathers. The purpose of this series is to take a deep look at fathers from various forms of media and see what, if anything, we can learn from them as current and future fathers. Today, we'll be taking a look at the parenting of Odin from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Due to the lengthy and often retconned history of Odin in Marvel Comics, I will only be analyzing the Marvel Cinematic Universe version. Odin Borson was the son of Bor, the second king of Asgard, husband of Frigga, father of Hela and Thor, and the adoptive father of Loki. Odin had many brothers, all of whom died in various ways during the numerous Asgardian wars over the ages. It wasn't until the death of his father Bor that Odin took over the throne and became the protector of the 9 realms. The 9 realms are home to numerous beings, each connected by the branches of the cosmic world tree. The 9 realms are Asgard, Alfheim, Midgard, Hel, Jotunheim, Muspelheim, Nidavellir, Svartalheim, and Vanaheim, with Asgard seeming to be the proverbial top of the food chain. During ancient times, Odin was worshipped as the god of wisdom by many inhabitants of Earth, or Midgard. Odin was, before his death, the greatest warrior in the 9 realms. His exact age is never stated, but Thor informs Rocket Raccoon that he is some 1,500 years old, so Odin is easily twice that. A few online sources state that his age is somewhere around 5,000 years old. As the All-Father, the title given to the king of Asgard, Odin battled legendary beasts, destroyed demons and monsters, invaded realms, devastated kingdoms, and laid waste to whole worlds. Odin was a warmonger and sought to maintain peace by ruling over all things. To maintain his immense power, Odin would periodically go into a deep sleep for a lengthy period of time called the Odin sleep. At some point, Odin learned of the prophecy of Ragnarok, which was said to be an apocalyptic event where Surtur would destroy Asgard and cause the extinction of its people. In an attempt to prevent this, Odin waged war on Muspelheim and defeated the fire demon Surtur, taking his power and trapping him on Muspelheim for thousands of years. At some point, Odin had his first child, a daughter named Hela, by an unknown woman. Odin would name his daughter as his executioner and leader of Asgard's army. Together, the powerful duo completely conquered the 9 realms and forged Asgard into a mighty empire. Hela was perfect for the task, being battle-hungry and nigh all-powerful like her father. She would come to take the title of Goddess of Death due to her skill and abilities, likely honed by her warmonger father, who used her to cement his hold on the 9 realms. At some point during this time of conquest, Odin came to realize that peace, not war, was the only way to maintain a lasting order within the realms. It was also during that time that his daughter's ambitions and bloodlust grew too great. Odin, now having a change of heart and attempting to turn from his warmonger ways, tried to reason with his daughter and show her the new way. However, Hela refused to back down and instead tried to take the throne from her father by force. The monster he created had turned on him and was now trying to kill him. Odin, however, proved to be stronger and defeated Hela. Unable to kill his daughter, likely due to grief and guilt, he imprisoned her in Hell, and to ensure she remained there, tied his life force to the banishment so that she would remain trapped as long as he lived. There is no telling how Hela was before her father made her his executioner, as no information is given to us. We do know that she was born while Odin was a warmonger, so it's safe to say he raised his daughter as a warrior. Plus, Asgardians are a warrior race as well, further evidence that Odin likely raised Hela and forged her into the weapon she became, only to cast her aside when no longer needed. It isn't confirmed that he made attempt to rehabilitate her or to bring her into the newly found peaceful ways, only that her ambition grew beyond the 9 realms and Odin imprisoned her after the two clashed. Odin fought and defeated his daughter a second time when she attempted to escape Hel, defeating her again, but not before she had killed all but one of the Valkyries. To add insult to injury, Odin then wiped Hela from Asgardian history in an attempt to rebrand himself as a benevolent king. He installed several murals around the palace, showing Asgard becoming prominent through peace treaties and amicable meetings with other realms. From then on, Odin chose to rely on peace to bring new stability and order to the 9 realms. At some point after turning over a new leaf, Odin would meet and court Frigga. Eventually, the two would wed, in part due to her being a strong partner and a helpful ear. They would have a child, Thor, Odin's second and Frigga's first. Odin was proud of his son and deemed him a worthy successor after the failure of Hela. His efforts at peace had been quite successful, ushering in a period of harmony he'd go on to call the Great Beginning. However, not all of the realms had forgotten Odin's past. King Laufey of Jotunheim invaded Midgard in hopes of enslaving mankind and bringing about a second ice age so they could escape their dying world. Odin would lead the armies of Asgard against the frost giants, and after fierce battle they would emerge victorious. Odin then forced the king of frost giants to a treaty that would last 1,000 years in exchange for his life. To ensure their agreement, Odin also took the source of their power, similar to what he'd done to Surtur ages before. Before leaving Jotunheim, Odin discovered the son of Laufey, a small boy that had been abandoned. Odin believed that a frost giant being raised amongst the Asgardians could bring about a lasting peace between the two nations. So, to that end, Odin adopted the boy and used magic to change his appearance to that of an Asgardian, and kept the truth of his birth a secret. Odin raised Thor and Loki as brothers, showing them both equal love, not wanting Loki to feel different or learn of his true heritage. He taught them both what it meant to be a king, the history of Asgard, the false history, I should say, and lessons on maintaining peace in the realms, for the day one of them would take the throne. Loki had displayed numerous times that he would be a worthy king, but Odin had long since chosen Thor to inherit his throne. Thor was his true heir by blood, and I imagine leaving the throne of Asgard to a frost giant, even one being magically manipulated to believe he's Asgardian, didn't sit well with the Allfather. As the two grew, Odin gave Thor Mjolnir, while Frigga taught Loki magic, so the two would have the power to protect the realms. What I took note of was that while attempting to raise the boys equally, Odin still somehow managed to foster contention between them. For example, Odin said to them, quote, "Only one of you can ascend to the throne, but both of you were born to be kings." Why say such a thing and foster such false hope when Thor was already your choice? Saying simply that the firstborn will rule or some other form of honesty could have gone a long way in preventing the development of jealousy, envy, and other negative traits. There was bound to be brotherly conflict between Thor and Loki, but Odin's deceptions, no matter how small they might seem, did not help. The day finally came for Odin to retire, and coronation was held for Thor. It was during this coronation that a group of frost giants infiltrated Asgard in an attempt to take back what Odin had taken from them and return to power. Odin, however, sensed and stopped the attack, but Thor's coronation was interrupted. Odin, Thor, and Loki went to investigate, and Thor grew enraged, calling for war. Odin, seeing his son rage, called off the coronation and forbid Thor to engage with the frost giants. Thor, of course, disobeyed and went to Jotunheim, where a massive battle took place. Odin appeared to save them and to try to keep peace between Laufey, but he denied it, and war was once again upon the realms, thanks to his son. A son who was spurred forward by his father's legendary tales of battle. Odin was forced to banish his son to Earth. Not long after, Loki discovered his true nature and demanded answers. Odin obliged, and the resulting argument only served to further splinter their family. Odin's deceptions coming to life would result in the first of many apparent deaths of his adopted son Loki, and the numerous clashes between his sons, as Loki, torn by his true nature, want to rule, jealousy of Thor, and the rejection of both his fathers, lashed out in numerous ways. At one point, Loki and Odin argued, quote, "All this because Loki desires a throne." Loki said, "It is my birthright." To Odin replied, "Your birthright was to die as a child, cast out upon a frozen rock. If I had not taken you in, you would not be here now to hate me." Words said out of anger, but true nonetheless, and served to severely wound his son, only putting more distance between them. Odin imprisoned his son, and even told him that he only spared his life because Frigga loved him. As his relationship with his adoptive son deteriorated, his relationship with Thor grew stronger, as Thor learned from his banishment to Earth. That was until the Dark Elves returned and waged war on Asgard in an attempt to regain the power taken from them by Odin's father. You see a pattern here? Asgardians invade, conquer, and take, only for the defeated to eventually rise up again. During one battle, Odin's wife Frigga was killed, devastating the old king and sending him into a rage and bloodlust. He no longer cared for anything but revenge, and if not for his son's intervention, many Asgardian lives would have been lost, as the Dark Elves proved to be superior combatants. Odin and Thor argued, quote, "If and when Malekith comes, his men will fall on 10,000 Asgardian blades." Thor said, "And how many of our men will fall on theirs?" Odin replied, "As many as are needed. We will fight to the last Asgardian breath, to the last drop of Asgardian blood." Powerful words, but futile against an enemy that they were almost defenseless against. Odin, however, was willing to sacrifice every soldier needed to avenge his wife. Odin had clearly lost it, and as such, Thor turned to his brother Loki for aid in defeating the Dark Elves. The Odin-son duo was successful, but Loki apparently died in the battle. Odin was saddened by the news of his son's second death, but Loki soon revealed revealed himself and, using powerful magic, erased Odin's memory and exiled him to Earth. Loki ruled Asgard as Odin for some time before Thor found out, and the two went on a search for their father. Odin, having long since overcome Loki's spell, had decided to remain in Norway as he sensed his time was coming to an end. His sons found him enjoying the scenery and living peacefully after ages of blood, battle, and loss. Odin complimented Loki's spell and said that his mother would have been proud of his magical prowess. Odin spent his final moments telling his son he forgives them and loves them before dropping the final bomb on them that they had an evil older sister who would be freed by his death and bring about Ragnarok. Quite the way to go out indeed. Odin in his youth was a ruthless war king with no qualms of violently conquering with his daughter. He transitioned both societal and personal into a wise and benevolent king. Odin was patient, just, and wise. He strived to maintain peace between the realms and was mostly thoughtful of innocent lives. Despite enemies warring against him and his own willingness and capability to cause mass destruction, Odin was compassionate enough to not seek obliteration of enemy innocence. Odin was firm in his rule and didn't hesitate to mete out justice whenever or to whomever, even if it were his own children. Odin was considered the wisest of Asgardian kings and admired by all for his exceptional leadership. That being said, when angered and challenged, he could be stern and ruthless. Odin was criticized by all three of his children on how he dealt with his problems and past mistakes, more often than not through secrecy, lies, or by covering them up entirely. Even in old age, the ghost of Odin's past self and initial anger that once controlled him can show. Such is his willingness to sacrifice all the Asgardians if necessary. However, Odin later showed remorse and regret for how he handled his mistakes and problems. He even expressed to his sons that had he not used deception and lies, Ragnarok might have been prevented. Odin seemed to have learned during his exile and thought over his life, feeling remorse for his actions. He showed no hostility towards Loki and expressed that he truly loved both of his sons. Odin made peace to his past and his fate and went to Valhalla while in the company of his sons. So what can we, as fathers, learn from the All-Father Odin? Honestly, most, if not all, of Odin's major problems come from his lies and dishonesty with his children. He knew that upon his death Hela would be freed, yet he did not prepare Thor or Loki for that inevitability. He knew that Loki was adopted, and even though his reasons for not telling Loki were just, the truth sent Loki on a rampage that stretched across 3 of the 9 realms and put him into the service of the mad titan Thanos. An honest conversation with them would have been tough, but was necessary. Oftentimes people avoid what is tough or hard to do, when in reality, on the other side of that tough situation is the ease and peace we desire. Odin should have been honest with Loki about Thor getting the throne. He already made that choice. Instead, Odin fostered competition, which only served to enrage Loki more when he learned of his true parentage. Loki said, quote, "No wonder you always favored Thor. You could never have a frost giant sitting on the throne of Asgard." Which seemed to be true, but perhaps honesty at a young age would have helped Loki better cope with these unavoidable truths. Odin could have shared with his children his true past and how, through loss and violence, he learned to become the man that they love. Perhaps this would have aided Thor in handling his inherited battle lust and avoided banishment altogether. To avoid favoritism, Thor was clearly Odin's favorite son. I personally don't see an issue with having a favorite. We all have them. But we should never allow favoritism to affect the way we treat our other children. He could have made Loki a cool weapon. He made Mjolnir, or rather had it made. He could have done the same for Loki. Open expression. Odin seemed to fear his past and mistakes being learned by his children. He wanted to erase them and leave them forgotten, to appear infallible and noble to them. We as parents often feel that we should hide our mistakes or lie about them, when in truth, sharing them with our children could teach them so much more about life and ourselves. We aren't gods. We aren't without fault, and these faults, these mistakes and negatives often teach us valuable lessons with hindsight. Why shouldn't we share this with our children so that they can avoid them or have an easier time with them if they too must pass through similar trials? We should want to impart all knowledge on our children that can help them through this thing called life, not to speak or act out of anger to our children. Odin said numerous harsh things to his children when enraged, especially to Loki. How does a father expect a son to react after being told, "If not for this mother, I'd kill you"? Odin's anger often got the best of him, and he didn't hesitate to make his thoughts known, surprising since he chose to lie about numerous other things. Odin was the All-Father, protector of the 9 realms and ruler over Asgard, responsible for peace and safety of billions of sentient beings, but above all else, he was a father. Had he been a better father, his 3 children would have been a nearly unstoppable force together and could have ruled the cosmos. Regardless, he raised his children the best way he knew at the time and sought forgiveness and understanding from 2 out of the 3. He expressed his love for them, and above all else, he was there. Odin overall was a good father and should be recognized as such. Thank you for watching this episode of Analyzing Fathers. Please like and subscribe for more fatherhood related content, and comment below any fathers, both real and fictional, you would like to see analyzed on this channel. On the next episode, we'll be taking a look at the parenting of Ken Titus from the television show Titus.